up, fellas? I mean, everybody. I just talk funny. Hey, you got Lady Hippy at the bar today. I hope this finds everybody willing and able to get around. We aren't quite at Friday yet, but from what I saw this morning, we ought to be. I've got to go ahead and take the old stereo out of mothballs or something because I'll leave it on to play on YouTube and it's not cooperating. Oh, you can see I got a stiffener this morning. I've been cheating a little bit, and I fidget every time I get up here. The headphones drive me crazy, so I usually go with just the headband. This is one of my favorites, believe it or not. My son says I like bling. I like the real stuff better. It's worthless. So, yes, I was tearing apart my room trying to find a necklace and earring matching set that's the faucet type drop necklaces and matching earrings. I can't find out where I put it. I've never worn it. He bought me several sets, and it's not even my birthday yet. So he heard me fussing and going through all my stuff. So for some reason, he thought I needed more. It's really great. I do like them. I just like today. I just threw whatever I had to put in, and this is it. So I'm kind of off kilter again, guys. So I don't know what's new with y'all. Who all watched the news? Show of hands. Yeah, I didn't pile on that train either. I've read a few of the headlines over the last few days. I know y'all miss me. It's for entertainment purposes only, guys. Wake up. If you like, if you see me, dislike, I don't care. Bring it. Throw a share in there. Tell your friends. Oh, hell, tell what family you like and those you don't like. Think of all of this. This is, for me, social Woodstock. So far, it's still free. If you do those things, you could help my channel out a lot. I do not make money doing this, so y'all know. No, I'm not sending, hey, y'all need to send me money to keep the channel open. No, I'm just saying if I can keep people on, I can keep the channel open. And again, I do not make money. You can tell. Still haven't painted my door. We painted it all downstairs. Took 2 months, and we had a pod for that. So it's like $300 or more per month on top of all the other expenses. So this was fun. Yeah, tearing out the carpet, putting down hardwood floors. It was just my husband. He wouldn't really let me do anything. I got to paint like this much of a wall. So things are still helter skelter. Yes, it's probably not a good term, but it's one I grew up with before the Beatles. And, well, it probably had been around since Manson. I've never figured all that out. So, anyway, yes, I saw where again Israel is saying that the United States has dropped down and they're not doing their. What's with my hair today? I'm trying a new keratin in my hair is just all over. I didn't want to be one of those people that was trying out a new lipstick for the whole 4 hours. So yeah, I know you missed me. I know. I wasn't here yesterday, and I took the weekend off. It's one of the. This has been one of the most difficult months. I swear. I started on January 1st, I believe it was. It might have been the third, but it's right there. And I hadn't missed a day until I think it was May, and I took like 2 days off on a weekend, a Sunday. And this like, week alone, I've already had 3 days off. And it's not like this is grueling. It's not hard to do. I just get up there and talk to y'all. And I hope some of you are going to go, what the hell? What did she just say? So pop on in here. Live chat's up. I enjoy a good debate. I saw that there's a lot going on. Unfortunately for Georgians, I'm not one technically. I'm from Chicago, and you probably can tell that in the accent. What little I have left, I have been here a long time. We're coming up on our 35th anniversary this year. Although we married in Texas, I grabbed his ass and took him to San Antonio. I'm very bossy. So we're both retired now. Yay. Not so much. I thought, oh, I'll be able to get all that stuff done that I'm trying to get done. It did help with the renovations while we were doing all that because we're like in our 60s. Shut up. It happens to us all. I'll see you probably come to this age. I got a son who's 45, or he will be. Although he would definitely, even the day before his birthday, he will tell you he is not 45 yet. Very stubborn young man. He takes after me. So yes, I did see some political news. Like I said, I don't know if anybody wants to talk about it or like me, they want to just stick their head back in the sand because it's like nuts. You got now they're saying poor Trump. I don't even know why you would actually want a job when you take this kind of abuse before you get the job. They sent out the pictures now of stuff, documents they took from Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence. The Clintons did it. Obama did it. Biden is still doing it, and they know that. I mean, Congress knows. Both the House and the Senate. By the way, everybody out there, I found that I don't know what they teach everybody in school nowadays because I don't see nothing to teach anyone with. But yeah, yes, this means Congress means the Senate and the House, just so they can throw that maybe back in just the teaching. But again, as I was saying, Georgians have to be embarrassed. Um, they have found that this Fannie Willis out of Fulton County DA's office, which is an elected office, and she was up there in court testifying that she's not on trial. She was on trial. Um, did she take said money from these funds that were not sent where they were supposed to be by law? I think that would be congressional law. And in the event, she did not. There was a whistleblower who she fired. She first promoted her to a water closet and gave her a phone. That's it. Of course, she was pissed off enough to do something out of that. She thought she was doing the right thing by telling the DA, hey, these funds are being misappropriated. Not so much. She didn't like that. So she eventually got around to firing the girl. Firing the girl was the catalyst. She managed to get to Congress and testify before Congress. Now, I've never seen Congress, even after all these sittings and testifyings, actually do something with what they've heard, including UFOs and, oh, yeah, aliens who live on the planet. Another subject entirely. So this DA goes through her little triple shit show. And I mean, it was a shit show. You just can't make that stuff up. Check out Fannie Willis for Fulton County DA. Oh my God. On the stand, she's talking about how this guy that she's hired, I can't think of his name, but he was supposed to be hired as an attorney. They were looking into graft and corruption on Trump's part for the election. Because dumbass called them and they taped it. Trump's nuts. He's got no filters. I mean, he called them. Yeah, I know you can find another 60,000 votes. And they recorded it. And of course, while everybody else is trying to impeach him as a former president, they've still got a gag order on the dude. Somehow they found 34 charges were true out of 34, without a shadow of a doubt. Not one is in question. He's guilty. Okay, so they're in appeals, of course. Now, what would happen if you're in appeals? Well, you go off and you live your life. You have to go back to court, right? Yeah, not so much. It's Georgia. Don't get me started. I love this. Georgia's as dirty as shit. I mean, it always has been. I actually had a judge recused. Another story, another time. Um, dirty from the ground up. Even went to the governor's Christmas parties. I mean, dirty from the ground up. Dirty. Millionaires. Millionaires. This guy's going out of office and he builds $1 million cabin on the lake. How much did all that cost? Probably take to 8 to 10 million. Probably from what I saw a few times I was there. Yeah, just happened to have that money just before he was no longer governor. Of course, I believe that father had been the governor, and then the son was the governor, and then the brother was the governor. I was just, and I'm like, who decided that they were not dirty enough to go on national YouTube? Basically, you can say the airwaves. Basically, at one point did they go, "Oh, we got this"? Were you having an affair? No, I'm not now. There's not the question. Were you having an affair? Well, I don't think that's part of the court's information or some shit. I love this shit. She ends up talking about her trips to, I don't know, Bahamas, Bahi, or wherever she went. a couple times, I understand. It was always put on Floyd. I think his name was Floyd. In any event, on this lawyer's tab. And then when they got home, she would pay him in cash. They're like, well, we've got your bank records. We don't see none of that. Oh, I keep cash at home. She was stuffing that mattress. She should have been on the ceiling. But that was it. That was her story. She stuck to it. The judge would sit there and tell the prosecution while she's on the witness stand, stop that. Don't say that. I'll give you a chance to talk. It wasn't the attorneys protesting that, this, this other attorney was talking. No, it was the judge going, and we'll get back to you. We'll talk in just a minute. This is not the way it goes. For anybody who wants to look that up, feel free. There's 15 guys picking that apart, and that's just the ones that have time. I thought that was the end of it. Now she's, of course, running for re-election, and it's white people that are having a problem with her, white men. Didn't have a problem the first time? We all believe that stuff, the mantra shit? Yeah, not really. So I thought, this is just gravy, right? Then the young thug thing started. Well, they had shown pictures of the jewelry they confiscated from this rapper's home when he was arrested on so many felony accounts and murdering. I don't know what else. You can't hear those charges in court. I've yet to hear what they charged this boy with, but he's there. They had an ex parte meeting. Again, Georgia, you love it. This is one of the judges underneath the DA. Danny Willis. That's right. Fulton County is smoking this shit up, and the governor's right up in there too. Well past his head. And all the corruption is there for everybody to see. The man actually, the judge, and I'm not going to mention names, just look up the Young Thug trial. And they have what they called an ex parte meeting, which they did not bring the defense in at the time. It was like a 2-hour meeting, but they had this with the witness that was coming up against the Young Thug dude. I can't remember his name, but Young Thug, everybody knows who that is. And that's how the trial is called, Young Thug. But now this jewelry, I bet you that shit went missing when she was doing all them trips, because this boy done did 2 years in jail waiting on his trial. Georgia. So here's the second one that's in your face corrupt. So they're trying to make sure this guy doesn't get his money. He goes to jail for like murder for 30 years because his jewelry's gone. They probably found it. Who knows? It's Fulton County. So the same woman who was the attorney and was fighting Fannie Willis, and she was good. Well, it turns out she's on another panel of attorneys that are called if an attorney is being sent to jail on the charge of contempt. Now, there's 2 charges for contempt. There's civil and there's criminal. The judge didn't know which was which, and I don't think he knew there were 2. But he he found out because the attorney was upset for the defense, and he got up there and he said, "Well, I got this and that and the other, and I just found out you had 2 hours with the man we're supposed to be testifying with, and we get to question and cross-examine, and you've already had 2 hours in there. Why would you do that? So we already asked for a mistrial, and at the very least, you're recused from the bench." Look up recused. I've had it done. So, I mean, there's laws, but there's different laws. Apparently, you can do one law in one state, and you can do it different. And I've heard this from the judge's own mouth. Basically, it's I'm the law. Whatever I say goes. And it's the truth in Georgia, in particular, Fulton County. This is the second case, including her own, I'm saying. The DA Fannie Willis has been up on 2 major trials, one for Trump and the other one for this young thug. And like I said, confiscated over $1 million, I'm sure, of jewelry. And this kid's still in jail. I say kid, I don't know what age. And again, she's blonde, the attorney. I can't think of her name, or I would say she's really good. But she's called because when the attorney gets up and says, "I have a problem with this," and the attorney was Brian Steele, or is, for Young Thug. And he says, "I have a problem with all that. You have to mistrial, recuse. This is nuts. You had the witness in your office for 2 hours and didn't tell the defense nor allow the defense anything about what occurred in those 2 hours. And you can't do that," which she's absolutely right. And the judge kept saying, "You tell me who told you. I don't care what they told you. I just want to know who told you." No shit, Shirley. I bet you did. So you just can't make this up. I don't know if anybody else is following it, but it got my attention this morning. And again, it's because I've been kind of in and out on these, and laughing my ass off because I've dealt with the Georgia system for law, and it doesn't exist. It exists only in the mind of the judge who's adjudicating your case, and they're God. And the other ones are God with a gun. I love that. Well, I'll tell you some stories. And now it's out there. And still, I don't really hear a lot of feedback. I don't hear anybody really. A few of the attorneys that have podcasts are like, what? What? Let me get back to you. And I'm just starting laughing. I'm laughing so hard, tears are coming down a couple of these. I feel bad for this boy who's being charged with murder and so forth. This guy's supposed to testify against him and all that. He's with the judge for 2 hours. The attorney for this young thug protest, that's Brian Steele. And again, the judge says, okay, if you're not going to tell me, then right now I'm charging you with contempt. You have to go to jail for 20 days. And he asked, he said, he didn't argue with the man. He wouldn't give up who it was. But he said, okay. He took off his jacket, took off his tie, and said, right now I need to go ahead and file for something relief of sentence and can pay bail out so I can take care of my client because I can't, what do you want me to do about my client? And I haven't done anything wrong. You're just doing this because you're an asshole. Basically, he's pissed off now, but he didn't say asshole. I did. Dude, the judge is still asking that poor boy every day. It turns out that the next day, the young lady who'd been on a Fannie Willis trial and was on the defense, no, prosecution, I believe. Yeah, prosecution is where this money went. And nobody yet has gotten to the trial about whether Trump is guilty of whatever they assigned to his dish there. They're doing the attorney who's dirty. I think the DA, well, she's an attorney too, but the DA, who's also, like I said, running for re-election. Then they got the Brian Steele against his first name is Uriel. It'll come to me in any event. It's been so funny. It's not really. It's dangerous to watch what a judge can do to you. It's dangerous to see what a DA can steal and still be the freaking DA. She's still the DA. She's still running for reelection. And it's the white people's fault. Yeah. And of course, like I said, the same young lady, a blonde girl that comes in, she's actually the president of the board, whoever, against this thing that judges can do to attorneys, which is this contempt charge. And I've seen contempt charges up. Contempt means that the judge, without any charge, can hold you at least 20 days in jail, incognito, and not allow bail. They can't allow bail. They don't have to allow bail. It's a civil or a criminal charge. There are two different charges for contempt. The judge didn't know that either, apparently, or he forgot. He went and looked it up for about an hour, came back. Said, I believe he went with criminal. Yeah, he went with criminal. Uh, so the guy's getting ready to go, and he comes back to the microphone, the attorney still for the young thugs, and he says, "Well, can I at least have the weekends or something so I can get in touch with my client? We can do it in jail because the boys in jail still. I thought we were supposed to be innocent until guilty. It's Georgia. You're fucking guilty until they find a way to make you guilty." That's what it screams of. It screams, "I'm God with a gavel or God with a gun." If you're talking about the police. These guys actually set up, and I've never seen them except for when I was in Europe. They set up roadblocks, and there'd be cars lined up for miles because they're going to see if you've got your license, you've got your insurance, are you drunk, are you maybe a drug addict? They will plant shit in cars. It's been seen on their own body cams that they turn in there, whatever happens. It's on their own body cams that they're stealing from the same people. And there anyway, because you get a ticket for this, your taillights out, they probably kicked it in when it's back there. So there's some city, well, it's a township, I guess, in Georgia here. And I think it's got 3,800 people or something like that. And they still got $1 million out of them in a year. I mean, it's a good job if you can get it. It's good to be the king. There is no justice in Georgia. I believe Texas was very good and abided by the law. As one can see from the retelling of what I've seen so far, and probably didn't get all the way into, please feel free to give me a question on it or look it up how you want to do it. Um, that's not the way it is in Georgia, and it's in your face. It's in your face corrupt, and they are so in charge. I guess that's the word that they run for reelection and get it, and they're corrupt. Everybody's talking about it. It doesn't matter if you're purple. Everybody's talking about it if they're from Georgia, and Georgians are ashamed. Even me, as a transplanted Georgia, we say I'm ashamed for them. Illinois got corrupt too, very much so, especially Chicago. And there's very good reasons for these. Look from the mayor on up. They're all corrupt. They all got a piece of the pie. They all get those kickbacks and they all get reelected or assigned again by the same people, however you want to do that. Chicago had one mayor and then I think it was his son for like 40 years. So, yeah, they're not any better. I saw a difference and I still see a difference in Texas. Love Texas. Um, so in the event, I would love to see an open chat on that. I got live chat up. I've heard a lot from people, but it seems to me I've also run into this, and because everybody knows what my format is. It's Social Woodstock. Pop in, give me a line, give me a chair, whatever, and I'll be talking away about whatever it was that pissed me off yesterday or this week. That's why I don't make money at this. Not a professional in me. Mm. I do enjoy my little cigars while I'm up here. I had to quit smoking, and my son and my husband are both about me picking up my little cigar. So I'm only allowed a few, uh, like per month, and they're doled out with me. So most of the time they do feel sorry for me, and I'll have one slightly at my podcast, and then I have to give it up for a while. They go out, and they don't get stale if you put them away back into a cigarette case. And so, yeah, they'll dole them out to me. So I'm steady puffing today. Mm, it is for entertainment. I keep telling you. I used to say I'd be here all week, but damned if I know. Right now, my husband is out in a doctor's appointment. I've been screaming at him for like 3 years to do. I've been treated, they called me a walking stroke or heart attack victim. My BP is always way too high, though. I was freaked out about it, and I take 2 medications for that. High cholesterol, drug, all that up. So I just, you can't get out of life alive. I'm not going to sit down and go, oh, I can't do nothing because I might have a stroke. Oh, fuck that. Fuck off. Pull the plug. They know they have instructions saying, leave it there, Jim, pull the fucking plug. I don't need to be a vegetable farm. Most of us feel that way. I hear the hippies are afraid to come forward because they say they'd be treated as if they were drug addicts. Well, the only thing I ever saw the hippies do was smoke a little herbage and eat some Oreos. That was the worst thing they ever did. Finally, it's legal. It's actually legally given for medical reasons in Georgia. Even with the VA, I was like, wow. But if you avail yourself of that need and find that it really works well for you, so that you do get it, and I've heard this from everybody else, you can't have it in your cars. People make the mistake that because it's given to you by a doctor, you can just whatever, like a cigarette or like my little cigars. You can't do that. You go to jail. Don't take that shit in your car. Order it by mail, and don't get more than a finger's full at a time. You'll pay more for postage. So everybody's scared to do that and to avail themselves of it, nor do they want to be labeled as a drug addict. They spent their whole lives like as a police officer. And now, if they avail because they got shot 3 times, if they do avail themselves of medical marijuana and are calmer because of this, they're considered drug addicts. It's just terrible to do this, but that's what it's come down to. And if they would even look at their history in a correct way, they would find out that Jefferson, Washington, almost all founding fathers said, especially Washington, said make the most of him. These guys were stoned and drunk when they did the Tea Party. Did you think they didn't come up with it? They just come out there and said, hey, let's go. No, they were drunk and stoned and said, I got an idea. Let's show them. Then they found they had this whole war thing going on with the, at the time, most powerful nation in the world. Tell me they weren't stoned. They were stoned. They all say they was. Day and night. They started making it illegal again. I think it was the 60s, maybe. Might have been the 60s. I don't know. I'm old enough. And again, it's like, because I asked people, they won't come on. This is nothing they're afraid of. Even though I don't make money or do anything like that. And I don't have a large viewing audience, but I would like to see that I get a growing future audience. They know, of course, the social Woodstock. They can say what they want. Well, they don't feel that they can't do that. And they don't want to be on live TV, especially if they were using their own face and name. I was like, and I guess this is why my grandson and some friends have said, you don't have a problem getting up there talking to everybody. It could be a million people. I'm like, no, nope. There's a lot of us that think the same way. And this gives me a way to say hi to everybody and talk about their decisions and their decisions. Oh, sorry. Right into the mic. Yeah, probably was not very ladylike, was it? I love my Irish coffee. But yeah, they're all afraid. Nobody's seen me do an interview or anything lately because everybody's afraid. So even to come on the comments or top chat, live chat, in any of the available opportunities that we have to be able to pop in and say something. I do it all the time with the ones I subscribe to. I do not sell merchandise. I do not make money. And if I did, it'd be trouble, right? It's like I said, I don't have this, huge viewing audience. I'm not Joe Rogan. So shout out, Joe. Yeah, but I'm not, it doesn't bother me. I think that this is what we should be doing, and we should put a hand on all of us to think the same way. We're not little bitty anymore. I mean that figuratively. Shut up. So, I'm old enough. Don't insult me too. I know. But we should be saying these things. We should be out there. If we could be heard and still reverberating through the decades from the 60s and 70s, then we should avail ourselves of this tool, that it's free. We can speak our mind. We can find other like minded people. Now, finding the other like minded people isn't the problem. They distrust their government so much that they will not go on to a podcast. Now, most of these even have a Facebook, but they can control the content that way. We all can. So, they control the content. They're not, but again, and I hate to say it too, but if you're just making a phone call, 14 people in DC are logging that some bitch. And pull that bitch. I don't know how many of us have had postings pulled from Facebook or X, I call it Twitter now, I assume, Snapchat, whatever. Those postings are just, they might send you a paragraph about what the hell they did if you go to this link and find out. And why? They're not going to let you put it back up. So, yeah, I get up here pretty much every day and say, what the hell? I'm not afraid of my government. I'm an Army veteran myself, retired, of course. And this is what I chose to do because I don't believe that my government. Oh, I know that the government's spying on us for decades. I've been around since the typewriter was manual. That's a long time. And yes, tech moves pretty quick. I give it that. I mean, I go to one base and I left, as a manual typist, and I come back and I'm an electronic typewriter, and then it's an electronic correctable, and then it was. They didn't stop that shit to just before I retired, and they're still doing it with the phones. I mean, everybody knows they went from Windows 5, Windows 7, Windows get your wallet out 7.5 every 6 months. And my husband's out there steady getting me new equipment. And I'm like, I don't, use it at work. I don't want it at home. And of course, you get dragged into it. And then by the time the 21st century gets here, you're all on flat screens because they say they've gotten rid of the other type signal because they can't control those as well. You had an antenna, you could have free TV just like you did when you were a child or a teenager, whatever, up until the 70s. Literally, I went to Europe and I came back from one base to another in Europe. And I came back and I was wondering, I rented a TV because I had my own room, of course. And like it couldn't get anything but snow. And I'm like, what in the world? So one of the other girls in the company said to me, well, you have to have cable. I said, I got a cable. It's plugged in. I never heard of this before. No, no, no. You have to get cable to come out and turn it on for you. Well, it's on. I had the button, but they had to beat it into me that they meant it was all blocked. They didn't come out right there and say that. I don't even know if they thought that, but I finally figured out it was blocked until I paid cable $6 a month. That was more than the TV rental. I didn't need the TV. I was like, forget this, because I thought it, and that was $6. I still remember that because it was so shocking to find that technology had left me behind in Europe. And when you got to Europe, you thought, they're about a decade behind it. They left their Levi's and ice cream and Jack Daniels and our cigarettes. So half of us paid our rent with those things. So yeah, I knew it was a little different as far as some things go, a little bad. But it still left me in the dirt. And then I go to DC from there. I was in Texas and San Antonio, and I go from there to DC, and I'm working, and it's like the third down, uh, and underneath my mother-in-law, the highest you could get for the site I was at. I can't say everything. So, yeah, and then it was new equipment again. It was like shit. I didn't know what a food stamp was. Turned out my former mother-in-law started the program and I worked with her on it. So there was things you can't say about this thing. I was in, so with my husband, we were there building the Georgia State Fair. It was nothing but mud holes. It was just awful, and it rained the first year contiguously. But we were there from the ground up, and I think it's been 30 years now because we went to all the way up. We go every year when it opened, and we were young, So we went to I've been there 20 years. I think it was about a decade or more ago. At any event, we went for the 20th anniversary and we quit going. So there's been a lot of little things that we've been in on in our lives that were, I'm glad to say, were very important at the time, even though we might not have noticed it really at the time. So, yeah, I'm still seeing that they're protesting. One young man, he was Israeli, he was Jewish, he was gay. And he's marching for the gay people with the, was it LGBTQ something? I don't know. I never get all the initials. I'm sorry. Don't be angry. No hate mail. I just don't get them. It's like my mother could never say aluminum. She said aluminium. And it was in my 20s when I was in Europe that I realized they said aluminium. So she had been saying it correctly just from, and I don't know how she would have picked that up because she was a very poor woman from a poor family, and they were depression. In the depression, they were in the World War II. So we were, yeah. I don't know how she knew that, but she could never say it as aluminum. It was always aluminium. And it's interesting to me to find out how many things are different over there. I got used to saying those things, the boot instead of trunk. Plus, I went there and I didn't drive, but I had to drive over there. So I got a little Beamer. It was cool, man. I think it was just fun. And the Autobahn doesn't, at the same, I don't think it does still, have a speed limit. You just got up there and you floored it because somebody's going to go through your car if you did less than 150. You can do it slower at time. And that's where I basically stayed. I didn't get on the Autobahn much. I used to just take a train or a ferry, wherever I was going to sightsee. It's like in the United States, you're living in Georgia, you go on and you go to Alabama to visit whatever, a plantation or something. It's the same way. You just drive or take a train. I think we should have more mass transit. I think trains would be really awesome if they would put it at least in the hub cities. And Augusta, it turns out, is a hub city as far as airline and so forth. It's not a big hub, but it's big enough. I know, I flew in and out. I swear I never did again. When they took planes, and we used to travel in style compared to what y'all got to do today. It's so bad that I'd rather take a bus, and I hate buses. But at least you could sit down in comfort and peace. You weren't squeezed into something you couldn't fit in. And they're throwing the peanuts because the cart's like this wide and they're coming through sideways. I said that is when I get off this sucker, I'll never get back on one. That's what it sees for three. They were three in a row. I understand there's like five now. I mean, what? So yeah, they make sure they make tons of money, and of course it's because fuel costs were raised. Then you had the Boeings whose windows were flying out. I can't imagine being in a plane, the window be sucked out. And meanwhile, they showed these people are still strapped into their seats like this, and they're like that until they land, and there's this hole under their flipping feet. No goddamn way. I'd have been climbing the boards to get the hell out. This guy's still sitting there, ribbons flowing down, debris going bad. Oh, no way. That's my Pixie. She's the one that was losing an eye and that climbed into my hand. She was only as big as my hand. For some reason, little ones in trouble that were about a handful, a week to 2 weeks old, find either Robert or me. Picks him up. Keep going. She stopped to look at me, huh? Cats have to cat. People go, doesn't that annoy you? No, really. No. I mean, God sent them, as far as I'm concerned, to get help. I've seen them do this, actually take their kitten into a hospital ward and over to a doctor to get help for the baby. And these guys, will circle around. I have one. I cut, let's see, 3 animals free of obstacles around their necks and chests. And this last young lady I call Miracle, I don't know, she just nearly decapitated herself trying to get free. Almost took a leg off. It's horrific, her injuries. I've pasted them on Facebook. And so she's still in my kitty ICU downstairs. And then upstairs, I have 2. In my other kitty ICU, they're bigger cats. And things are going on with them. As one of them has anaphylactic shock problems. And so I'm always running up and down between the 2. You'd think I'd get lighter. I never had to worry about my weight. Suddenly I hit this age and it was like, the only thing I'd like to say, I had a little bit more to chill. Ladies everywhere understand that one. Let's see. Yeah. That's really sweet. Like cinnamon. I might have a stiffener, but it's usually have a good brand. Well, I need one. 12-year-old scotch will really put some backbone in you. I'm going to have to ring off here. And then it goes back to when phones were not portable. Like I was saying, the difference in how you style something. They call them in Europe, it's a mobile. Here it was a cell phone. I don't know what they're calling their smartphones because they came out after I came back from Europe. So I figure that's probably a little different. I'm sure it is. I mean, they call them biscuits. I'd looked for cookies for a year and a half. They're called freaking biscuits. Scones are biscuits with whipped cream and strawberry or whatever. I mean, but it's a biscuit. So, yeah, they call them scones. Just little things like that. But you got used to them. And so, like you pronounce it differently. Like garage is what they say. We say garage, aluminum, aluminium. Same word, spelled exactly the same, but the accents are placed at different locations on that word. So it turns into something else totally. And certain vowels are pronounced, I think, a little differently as well if you look into it. So, yeah, you get used to it. People start teasing you because you go put that in the boot. What? No, I put it in the boot. What? That thing in the fucking back that opens. One time I was trying to get to the hospital when my husband was fighting cancer, and I had his 2 brothers with me. And I'd only been to the hospital once or twice, and I hadn't been living in Augusta Law, maybe 2 years. And I didn't I'm not one of adventures out in a car unless I have a destination. I don't just drive around. Most of my things are right close to me, just as if I would walk there, which I could still do with most of. So they were in the car with me. I've got a Garment, Robert, but he sure had a Garment, which I had been using before I moved here. And I mean, when it first came out, because I was going to Durban to the VA, which was 3 hours away from where I lived, below Macon. So we're coming back, and we're going around and we keep running into he's in the hospital in the downtown location. And we keep going around and we keep ending up back on 15th Street, which is slap at Hospital Road, downtown. So it's like LA downtown, to give you a reference. So we keep coming back. This is snarled through. And they finally get back into the residential, and the government keeps saying take left turn, take left turn. And finally, I'm going through, and I'm like, screw that! I'm taking a right turn when it said take a left turn. And the brothers yelled at the same time, take a damn left. Or was it right? I think, but in any event, it was right. I was able to get home. After that, I made them take my car and go see him, and I talked to him later. It was annoying. So yeah, it's been one of those kind of years already. Like I said, normally I don't have any problems up here, and I've been on every day for a consecutive 200 days or something, and then suddenly I'm falling out 2 or 3 times during the week. So I beg to get an apology in here. I'm really sorry. I've dropped in and out. Generally, I'm on between 10 and 12, which is again a bad time for people. It's just before lunch, and so most of us are at work or doing something, whatever. My feet hit the floor after 5:30. I'm looking around like somebody killed me. I'm late. My husband is annoyed so no end. And we have different rooms now because it got better that way because his had throat cancer, so I can't sleep because he's very loud at night, and so we went with this. And it turns out great. He's got an apartment going up there. I swear to God, it's he's got a bachelor pad. I have to sell tickets at this rate. So yeah, even that, it's just like you get up at what time? What for? I'm like, well, I used to get up that time to let the puppies outside. I call them puppies. They were old age lesson when they went to heaven, and so I assume, and I've always done that since I can remember. And I can kind of remember before I was 9. I know I was adopted at 9 and when we moved to bought the house, all that stuff. So yeah, I'm one of those kids. Um, they say baby boomer because they say hippie again is the term for a drug addict. No, it's not. Hippie meant peace, love, and everything else. And they've somehow demeaned it into this thing of a bunch of hippies are getting drunk and drugged out, and it's a bad thing. You don't want to go there. So it's a real pity. I mean, I'm also a baby boomer considered because of my age and birth date. So I don't necessarily agree with it. I do agree with it in some ways, but I'm not going to stop being a hippie either because they say, "Oh, you're a drug addict." Well, bring it. What the hell are you? Don't throw rocks in a glass house, you dumbass. And the guys that I was going to have, and there were plenty of people I could interview, but they won't do it, like I said, because they don't want to be known for being on a podcast. And if they were on the podcast, as they put it, they wouldn't have anything to say. I'm still laughing because it's like, what? You're how old? And these are smart people. These are people that, like me, are into everything. It's not just one, it's not just two, it's a lot of people that are afraid to actually use YouTube other than to look at things, like the Fannie Willis trial and stuff. Um, so that's kind of blown me away. And it took me 6 months to figure that out, by the way. So I've not had a guest all this time because I had these people lined up. And, if I start podcasting, I got you guys, right? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Apparently, your word is not gold anymore. I don't think gold is gold anymore. You have to check Biden or something. I don't know. I see my time is coming up, and I'm sorry I ended up going through everything but what I was going to talk about. If you guys want to pile into live chat, throw a comment in. I check them. I should edit, but I don't because I just don't. I think that's more of the process of not being a natural. I screw up. The cat walks through. My husband come through the door. My poor unpainted door, and I don't care. We have social Woodstock. I'm not going to be who I'm not. The whole idea behind, for me, these podcasts or my particular channel is that you can be who you want to be. If you're not a hippie, fine, don't be a hippie. If you're not a baby boomer, who cares? I don't care if you have any title or every title. As far as I'm concerned, too, I don't actually say that this is my title. I think it definitely shows things like history and the truth and a willingness to go out there and say, let's not let this change. We've got our kids. I've got a grown grandson. He's already been Army. Now he's a vet. This is how grown. So yeah, you're talking to old lady sitting up here, and I'm at my home bar. My husband bought a bar. I love this thing. He's never here at it. Another reason I like it. Just kidding. In any event, yeah, this is why I do it. I don't make money. Once again, I don't make money. Oh, by the way, if you want to help the channel, no, I don't. Just hit a like or a comment or something, maybe share. Definitely subscribe, guys. It's free. You can undo it in a little bit. It will help me keep my channel. And I've learned, I used to think I talk too fast. Apparently, I found people who do not talk as fast. And I've found people who talk faster. This trial of this DA Fannie Willis and the Young Thug trial that's going on in Fulton County, Georgia. I mean, I don't come close to talking fast. If you listen to these people and you can understand them, and they are rapid fire. It's like I have never seen anybody who got out and do me in speaking. If I wasn't trying, I could see that. But in some cases, like I'm watching my timer, so I try to get that point through quicker. And I'll bet you any amount of money you want. It's my husband. I'm gonna dash, guys. Go with Toodles. Toodle pip, everybody.